everyone, Jessica here with another layout for the ThermOWeb design team. Today I am using some Deco foil and some peel and stick toner sheets for a cut file design. So I have my cut file here already cut out. I actually have another video posted already if you want to see how I cut this secondary piece to back my cut file with on my design space software. So if you want to tune into that, that is up on my channel. And so I've got my cut file. I've got these two pieces here. This one here that I'm wiping off is the peel and stick toner sheet that I'm actually going to foil. So I just wiped it off to get my fingerprints off of there before I put the Mystic Rainbow foil on there. So I'm just cutting these Deco foil sheets down so that my rainbow pattern goes the whole way across my cut file here. And then I'm going to sandwich that in between a craft and carrier sheet and actually run that through my hot laminating machine. So when you put the foil down, you want them to be design side or pretty side up facing you, and the kind of silverish metallic side on whatever you're foiling. So there it is. It already came out of my hot laminator. It's all beautiful and shiny now, and it actually shows up pretty well on this video. It's very, very hard to photograph foiled designs at the end. So it's not going to show up a whole lot in my photos, unfortunately, because it's terribly hard to photograph them. But you can still tell, and you can tell in this video. So I'm glad that it actually shows up and you can tell that it's rainbow. So I'm just using my Ultra Bond liquid adhesive here to actually glue down the other layer of my cut file and the middles of my letters as well. And I like to do that by putting the negative piece of my letters back into them like that, and then I grab the middle part that's just supposed to go by the opening and glue that part down, and then I remove that letter. So it just makes it easy for me to line it up. It's kind of like a template. So it just gets everything nice and lined up so that you don't really have to think or look too hard or squint or anything like that. So it just makes it a little bit easier. So I'm just adding the rest of these middles back in, and once I get this finished, then we will move on with the rest of the layout. So I have this textured sheet of cardstock here. It's been in my stash by Creative Memories for a long time, and I really like the deep purple hue of it, but I want to add some mixed media to it. So I'm just taking some smooth Liquitex white gesso, and I am just adding it on here down in a strip and a vertical design with my brayer, and I'm kind of dragging it out a little bit so that I get some on those pretty circle designs that are embossed into this paper, because it's just so pretty, and I want to pull that design into this and make that known that it has those pretty embossed circles on there. So I've pulled out some Lindy's powders that I'm going to use today on this layout. So with Lindy's powders, you just want to make sure that you use a little, not a lot. A little goes very, very far. So all I do is I sprinkle some of the powder onto my gessoed spot here, and then I just spray with some water. I'm trying not to let my colors touch too much because they are going to blend together and make other colors. And you want to be careful with certain colors, making sure that it doesn't create brown. So these colors are okay. The blue and the pink I'm not so worried about. That'll make purple. So I'm not too worried about those touching or blending together. It'll make a pretty hue. But the other two down here, this orangey yellow color and the pink, will make brown. So I don't want to mesh those together too much. So I'm just kind of dabbing up any excess pools on there. And with that gesso on there, what that creates is a nice barrier for your paper so that it doesn't add any warping to your paper, or it actually reduces it quite a lot. So I have some slight warping or wrinkling of my paper, but I'm not too worried about that because once I place that into my album, it's going to flatten right out. And if you're really worried about it, you can actually run that back through your hot laminator and it'll flatten that out at the end. So that's actually what I did with my gesso too. When I put my gesso on, then I ran it through my laminator when it was still a little bit tacky in between a craft and carrier sheet, just to get that dried because I'm super impatient. So my mixed media is on here. I'm just adding some splatters of the different colors to my layout. I just want to break this up a little bit and add some splattering just to add kind of like a marbling effect to those colors. And then I'm going to pull in some white acrylic paint as well, which really creates the marbled effect. So I love the way that the white acrylic paint just blends in with the colors. It lightens it up a little bit. It breaks them up a little bit. You can see here that pretty marbling. And then I also add some white splatters to the purple just to kind of pull everything together and, of course, create my signature grunge. Because you guys know that I always have to have grunge on my layouts. I typically scrap boy layouts, so it goes right in with my boys. So there is my mostly finished mixed media here. It's all pretty and all my colors are on there. It goes with my little rainbow theme. I've got some photos here of my boys from last January when we took them to a Crayola factory. So, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm just adding some gold Heidi Swapp shimmer spray or shimmer spray? Sparkle spray? No. Color Shine. Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. That's what it's called. And then there's my cut file. I just keep pulling it back over just to make sure that that's exactly where I want it to go and see how it looks against my mixed media. Make sure I don't want to add anything else, but I think I'm finally done with the mixed media portion. So I've got these 4 photos here. I've already die cut them into some tag shapes using some Elle Studio dies in my manual die cutting machine. And then I've cut some toppers to go on the tops of them to add a little extra pop of color. And I used Vicki Boutin's Discover and Create collection for those papers. So here I'm just adding some easy tear tape to the back side of my tags, and then I'm going to adhere those down to my mixed media. So with mixed media, you want to make sure that you definitely adhere everything and use some really good adhesives. So I've added some easy tear tape behind my photos because I know that that is not going to go anywhere and it's super, super sticky. So when you use that easy tear tape, it is really easy, like it says. You just kind of put it down onto the backing and then you just tear it off. So you just tear off your strip however long you need, and then you peel the backing sheet off of it. So it's super easy to use and it's super sticky. So I've got some embellishments here from this Vicki Boutin Discover and Create collection. I'm trying to make them work here on my layout. I don't want to use anything too big. I originally pulled out a lot of word bits and little banner pieces and things, but I ended up not using any of those because they were just too big and I didn't want to cover up too much of my mixed media. So I'm just going to stagger some things. I've die cut some stars here with another Elle Studio die and my manual die cutting machine, playing around with some flare here, but I ended up pulling those off and not using them. And I ended up using the circle buttons from Vicki's collection instead, and that kind of pulled in more circles because I used that circle embellishment towards the bottom there. So it kind of pulled that all together using some more circles. So I'm just staggering those little buttons, and then I'm going to stagger my stars and pull those in. I'm also using these little wordy bits from my stash here. I think those were actually from Bramble Fox, but those are some leftover pieces that I have from a cut apart sheet. And I'm going to stagger those on this layout too and use some of those. So again, using my easy tear tape to adhere down some of these bigger embellishments because I know those are going to stick really well to that mixed media. It won't go anywhere over time. And then the other pieces, like my cut file here, this is on the peel and stick toner sheet for the top portion that I backed, but I'm actually reinforcing that with some of this Ultrabond liquid glue as well, just because it's on top of that mixed media and I want to make sure that that sticks really well. So I don't want to get my fingerprints all over it, so that's why I'm using something to protect that while I'm rubbing the top to make sure it's stuck down. And then I'm just moving on, adhering the rest of my embellishments. The Ultrabond liquid glue does dry super clear, so it's a nice adhesive to use with your smaller pieces and your vellum pieces like I just attached, and all of these little teeny tiny stars. So I like to pick them up with my tweezers to just give me something to grab a hold of, and then I put the glue on and adhere them to my layout. Seems to work easiest for me. I was playing around with those little hearts, but I ended up not using those either. They're super cute. They didn't seem to go with the vibe of my layout, like my title, Rainbow Vibes. But yeah, I just couldn't make them work. So I added these little wordy bits instead. So I added some stickers from the sticker sheet from Vicky's collection, and then these little wordy bits that I had from my stash left over. And my cut file, I forgot to mention, is actually a cut file by Pear Tree Cut Files. So I'll see if I can grab the link for that and link that in the description below for you. I will also put in the description all of my affiliate links in case you need to grab anything from any of the shops. It doesn't cost you anything to use my links, but it does help me a little bit. So thank you so much for using those links and for purchasing all of the beautiful products. And I'll link everything that I've used today as well. So moving on, I'm just continuing to adhere all of these little bits to my layouts. I've got all these little stars here. I just cut that out of the little strip. There's a striped pattern paper in Vicky's collection that I used. I just cut a strip of that, and I actually cut those little toppers for my tags out of it, and then I cut those little stars out of it too. So it actually came in handy. So here I'm just going to thread some twine through my tags, and I thought it would look cute if I just pulled them to the top and attach them to the back. So it looks like they're kind of winding around the page, which I just thought that was really cute. So I'm going to go with that. I didn't feel like tying bows in every single one of those tags, and I didn't want to leave them just all willy-nilly. So I don't know. I just was having a play with them and thought this is what I thought looked best with that mixed media and to not cover it up so much. So that's what I did. So just adhering down my other wordy bits, my little buttons here at the top. I love those things. They're so cute. I just wish I had more of them. I think I've used up the last of those little buttons from this collection that I have. So I'm going to move on to this puffy sticker sheet here and grab some of these little puffy stars and embellishments and pop a couple of those onto my layout as well. Like, I need more stuff, but you guys know my motto is always more is more, and I have to add a lot of stuff to my layout before I'm satisfied. But you know what? Sometimes I just need to tell myself that, like, it's okay to stop and it's done. But I am still adding to this. I'm adding a bunch of these little puffy circles. I really like them. They kind of look like enamel dots. So I'm adding those, kind of coordinating them with the colors of my mixed media down the page. And yeah, so I've got all that on there. Oh, that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. But that Crayola factory was really fun. They had so many different things and activities for the boys, and they just loved it. They had like little play areas in there, and then they also had areas where you could create different things and melt crayons into molds and melt them and make art, spin art, and it was just really fun for them, and they had a really great time. So yeah, so there is all my rainbow goodness and that lovely mixed media. I just love how this one came together. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this inspires you to create something. If you have any questions for me, please let them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer. Thank you guys so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.